הנה מה טוב מה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Now, Ma? Yeah? Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Talk into the microphone instead. And I'll turn this off. All right, we'll try that instead. The seventh day, Shabbat, is a hint of the world to come. So the Ramban teaches. And this Shabbat, synagogues and Jewish communities across the country are coming together to celebrate Reproach Shabbat, a Shabbat organized by the National Council of Jewish Women, dedicated to our people's commitment to reproductive freedom and bodily autonomy. Through services, tech studies, and advocacy, we don't just wait for this world to come, we work toward it. If Shabbat is an opportunity to rest, pause, and take a step back from the rhythms of the world, then Reproach Shabbat is an invitation to Jewishly imagine a world where everyone has greater access to the health care that they need. Shabbat invites us to consider all that's possible, and maybe more importantly, to connect with the people that will help make it so. We'll begin by bringing in light together. We have some volunteers. The blessings for the candles are on page 121. Amen.
We gave y'all the hardest job.
Sometimes bringing in the light takes work.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Now for some Shabbat sweetness, we bless this day with Kiddush on page 123. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim. As we continue, please be seated. Our handout, if you don't have one, you all have one, more or less? We're going to start with Olam Chesed Yibaneh, that if this isn't the world that we've dreamed of, that we need to be part of building it to make it better. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. 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 I will build this world from love. Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. You must build this world from love. Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. And if we build this world from love, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai, then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Dai, Dai, Yadadai, Dai.
We continue with Lecha Dodi, joyously welcoming Shabbat on page 138. Together we'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, rising at 9 to greet our Shabbat bride.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmi'anu, el hameyuchad Adonai echad, hu shemo echad l'shem ultiferet ve'elitila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shabbat, lechu v'necha ki mekor, haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh, b'machshavat chila, lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela, hitoreri kiva orech, kumi uri, shir daberi kevod Adonai, alayich digla, lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela, boi v'shalom, aterebala, gam besimcha, uvitzola, toch emune, am segula, boi chala. Boi chala, lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi, likra kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. We take this opportunity to greet one another. We continue on page 146, standing for our Baruch Hu. Oh, you have an intro.
We continue with Shema on page 152.
Shema Yisrael Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You can be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot aliadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam, al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha lema'an tizkeru ba'asitem et kol mitzvotai bitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Please join me on the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Yamicham mocha repeat after me. Nora Tehilot Ose Fele Nora Tehilot Ose Fele Livnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'eli anu ve'amru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed
We continue on page 162 with V'shamru, sanctifying and rejoicing in today, Shabbat.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We rise for the tefillah on page 164.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agid, tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agid, tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chaste Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atal hachayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol, atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. On page 178, we begin our prayers of peace because just one is simply not enough. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom. I share this melody with you this past week, I ended up in Toronto since last Shabbat, unplanned, because just before Shabbat, one of my great friends and teachers and mentors died, and that is Ben Steinberg, the composer of the Shalom Rav that I just shared, and was warmed to hear some of you singing along, because he did something for Jewish music that was unique. He took what was a chazanut style and blended it in with his music, but created tunes that communities could sing along with. Maybe not in the way we always think about it in these modern times, but he really did understand the value of a community's sound. He was very special. For 10 years, I resided in his office after he retired in Toronto, and he did two really important things in my life that I'd like to share with you. So as a young cantor entering my first job, I, like many, are a little unsure of themselves and not quite confident in who they are and what they sound like. But Ben Steinberg, when he gave a compliment, it was genuine, he would never, ever speak ill of someone. He just wouldn't say anything. You either got a compliment or there was, that's a nice haircut kind of a response. And when Ben Steinberg, after a couple of years, came up to me and said, "You sounded really great singing my music," that I sang his music the way he imagined it, I started to feel like the shoes I was stepping into were not so clown-like and a little bit more fit to my size. So he planted that seed of confidence for me. And then the other piece is he is the reason why I have a connection to the community in Japan. He was for those of you that have heard a little bit of my story, there's a community called Beit Shalom. And in 2019, I had the honor of singing that Shalom Rav with their choir in Tokyo and in Kyoto. And my connection there is entirely because of a partnership that he developed over the course of his life with the founder of that community. So he is very special to me, and I'm really happy to share him a little bit with you. And after we take a few moments of silent meditation, we'll come out of it with another prayer for peace, O Say Shalom, also by Ben Steinberg. And if you want to read a little bit more, you have a little more information in your handout. So think about some of those people that really planted the seeds for you. Take a few moments of silent meditation and let that seed grow just a little bit taller, because we all have those people in our lives. O say shalom bimramav, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol
This past weekend, I spent 4 days in Washington, D.C. with a group of 4 LARFT teens participating in the Religious Action Center's L'Takain Social Justice Seminar. The RAC is the lobbying arm of the reform movement, and it works to create and advocate for legislation that is in line with our people's values and our tradition's commitment to social justice. The L'Takain seminar is specifically for reform teens, and it's an intensive weekend of learning and lobbying. We spent the first part of the weekend studying a variety of justice issues and discussing the ways that Jewish laws and values might inform or inspire political change. With my students, I got to attend sessions on economic justice, reproductive rights, and gun violence prevention, but there were also sessions about mental health, Israel, anti-Semitism, climate change, and more. And we got to learn about the different bills that the RAC was working to get passed to address these incredibly complicated, sometimes existential issues. Then, with that foundational political and religious learning in place, on Monday we got to actually advocate for changes that we wanted to see in Congress. The students visited the offices of Senators Gillibrand and Schumer and Representative Bowman and gave thoughtfully prepared speeches about why, as American teens and Reform Jews, they wanted the legislators to pass certain laws. While none of the Congress people were actually there, it turns out there was a legislative recess, go figure, our 10th graders got to speak to their staffers and legislative directors, many of them not all that much older than our teens, who dutifully took notes, responded with explanations of their boss's legislative priorities, and promised that they'd pass on what they'd learned. After a speech about funding for mental health support in schools, one of Representative Bowman's staffers was especially excited to learn from the students about this concept of refuah shlema, a full healing of body and soul. And he said that he thought the congressman would love that concept too. It was an amazing experience for them and for me as their chaperone. As frustrating as our government can be at times, there was something spectacular about being in, or at least near to, the rooms where it happens, and we all felt a special energy and sense of opportunity to create change. And it was so special for us to be doing this work as Jews, representing our collective commitment to justice. Each of them got to experience how striving for a better, more fair, and more just world is deeply Jewish. The lessons that we learned last weekend feel especially poignant on this Shabbat, which is Parshat Mishpatim, literally the Torah portion of laws. Parshat Mishpatim includes a long list of commandments that are a little more personal and practical than the lofty 10 commandments that we heard last week. It covers a wide range of what we could call legislation, laws that address personal liability, just business practices, the treatment of slaves, criminal behaviors, among others. It's also one of the places that we hear the injunction against mistreating the widow, orphan, and stranger. Our tradition is a legal tradition. Our texts have always sought to create a society in which order, justice, and righteousness are prioritized, from the written law of the Torah to the oral law of the rabbis, to every responsa and interpretation and legal innovation in the millennia since. One such law that emerges from Parshat Mishpatim this week serves as the foundation for contemporary Jewish approaches to abortion and reproductive rights. It's for this reason that the National Council for Jewish Women's Repro Shabbat takes place on Parshat Mishpatim every year. The text reads, "When men fight, and one of them pushes a pregnant woman and a miscarriage results, but no other damage ensues, the one responsible shall be fined according as the woman's husband may exact from him, the payment to be based on reckoning. But if other damage ensues, the penalty shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise." We'll talk more about this eye for an eye stuff tomorrow morning at Chevra. But in other words, if someone accidentally causes a miscarriage to take place, they are obligated to pay financial damages only. The case is not treated as manslaughter or murder, which would demand the death penalty. The other damage that would demand the death penalty, life for life, would be the death of the pregnant person herself. It is the life of the pregnant person who matters, and causing the termination of a pregnancy is not in the Torah considered murder. There are several other rabbinic texts that also address fetal and maternal health that have built upon these verses, and time again, the well-being and the health of the pregnant person is prioritized. As we studied these very texts at Litaken last weekend during the reproductive rights session, I asked our students what they thought about Judaism's stance. One student said that it was affirming. She personally believed in reproductive freedom and believed that our government shouldn't restrict bodily autonomy, but she also believed that religion shouldn't be part of the equation. We shouldn't be replacing a traditional Christian perspective on abortion with a Jewish one. It was an important point and one worth clarifying even as I speak from the Bima right now. I'm not suggesting that because our Torah says one thing about the life of a fetus, that Torah law should become US law. That is not the kind of country we want to live in, and that doesn't honor the sanctity of the separation of church and state that protects our religious freedoms as Jews. Rather, like my student was, I hope that we can feel affirmed by our tradition's commitment to the life of the pregnant person and use those values to advocate for the legislation that will protect our rights and freedoms as Americans and as Jews. With the fall of Roe v. Wade this past summer, 40 million people of reproductive age are now trapped in states hostile to abortion access. Those harmed most by abortion bans are Black, Indigenous, and other peoples of color, people struggling to make ends meet, people living in rural areas, immigrants, disabled people, youth, and trans and non-binary people. During a year when abortion access matters more than it ever has in many of our lifetimes, we Reform Jews are committed to this work. In New York State, a person's right to an abortion is now codified into law, so it may not feel like a pressing issue, but that doesn't mean that we should stop talking about it. On the Hill, for example, we knew that we were preaching to the choir. The senators and representatives were already on board with the legislation that the students spoke about, and some had even co-sponsored those bills. At the end of our lobbying day, one of our students, Max Suchman, pointed out that it was kind of a privilege to be speaking with congressional offices that agreed with us, that our representatives really do represent our values. But he added that it was still good that we talked to them. It was important for our voices to be heard and important to hold our representatives accountable. The conversation about reproductive rights and Judaism doesn't end in this sanctuary. I encourage you to check out the National Council for Jewish Women and their subsidiary movement, Jews for Abortion Access, who offer many opportunities for us to make our voices heard as Jews. And I'll close with a line from our LARFD student speech to Representative Bowman. They said, "Not only is it important for us as Jews to stand up and have personal passion for the matter, but the help of those in power like you is also critical for true change to happen in our society." We've got lots of work to do on the legislative dimension, but we have work that we can do in prayer as well. Mishaberach is an opportunity for us to pray for the brokenness of our people, the brokenness of our country, the healing that we so desperately want to see. And so we're going to do a slightly different version of Mishaberach tonight that accounts for some of that hurt, some of that healing that we so need. In our community, we are praying for the healing of Wendy Becker, Paul Millman, Nancy Hanley, Marlo Wiggins, Dick Stone, Hannah Stampelman, Enid Elton, Jody Kahn, Stanley Tereski, Bob Glassman, Andy Rosenthal, Sandy Warshaw, June Foreman, Paul Wiggins, Joseph Spinelli, Harriet Katz, Samuel Philip Lear, Pat Ryan, Jerry Golner, Ian Spire, Julie Ross, Megan Kearney Bailey, Dan Zimmerman, Aaron Serkman, Tyler Grad, Alan Grad, Joanne Tobin, Evelyn Silberg, Jonathan Glassman, Marvin Weiss, A.B. Zatoon, Michael Scher, Renee Leopold, Stephen Stampelman, Judah Luria, Ben Myers, Karen Mansler, Joel Brill, Josh Olean, Drew Olean, Brad Dembski, Noah Lanner, Barry Fenner, Gabriel Morse, and Barbara Schiff. If you are holding someone's healing in your heart, I'll invite you to share their name out loud as my eyes meet yours. We turn now to the words of Heal Us Now on the back of your sheet.
Rifa'enu Adonai v'nei rafeh, Hoshienu v'nivashea El karov lechol korav ach karov lireav yish'o. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. Hail Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuah shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Hoshia et amecha uvarech et nachalatecha urem b'naasem ad ha'olam misheberach avotenu misheberach imotenu Adonai Hoshiana. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation. Side by side, standing strong, hand in hand. Hail Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuah shelema. Hail Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now.
L'takain's name comes from a line from the Aleinu, actually. L'takain et ha'olam b'malchut Shaddai. Let us repair the world so that it can be a representative of God's sovereignty. We rise for Aleinu on page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tekedu la'liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korehim umishtach
this point in our service, we take some time to think about those seeds that Cantor Orangel mentioned, the people in our lives who are no longer with us, but who planted something special and holy and ever-growing within us. On this Shabbat, Larchmont Temple is marking the yard site and remembering Frederick S. Brown, Myron Bloom, Edward Führer, Benjamin Geller, Valentina Gershenstein, Joel Kupferberg, Reba Spivak, Joanna Silverberg, Martin Mannon, Emily Goodman, Ethel Abrams, David Green, Eve Finkelstein, Harvey Stahl, Samuel Wilner, Anna Metz, May Willinger, Michael Bagel, Irving Isaac, Claire Marcus, Ida Miller, Arturo Kaufman, Murray Coven, Norma Sue Madden, Dale Karp, Eleanor Nelson, Dr. Harriet Rabinowitz, Daisy Menashe, Charles Mason, Samuel Sacknoff, Louis Weiner, Bertha Klein, Alice Daniels, Peter Gideon Gelblum, Bernice Witten, Louisa Flores, Barbara Bobby Alterson, Edith Borden, Carl Ehrlich and Sybil Ehrlich, Henry Lebenz, Jacob Mandel, Eugene Steinhubble, Reuben Moss, Jenny Crumbine, Lee Levitt, Ruth Brandon, Rose Gittenstein, Samuel Crivet, Jack Vandervelden, Ellen Gardner, Stella Baumgart, and Philip Simpson. And we remember those who died in most recent days: Samuel Abrash, cousin of Jed, husband of Catherine, father of Elizabeth and Ross; Martin Rubenstein, father of Stephen, Donald, and Alan, grandfather of Caitlin, Annie, Emma, Christine, Melissa, Andrew, Emily, and Becca; great-grandfather of Ruby, companion of Marcia, and predeceased by his wife, Barbara; Cantor Benjamin Steinberg; Robert Walker, brother of Edward Walker; Carol Feldman, mother of Leslie and Sarah, grandmother of Alex, Madeline, Hannah, Oliver, and Lucas; Margie Shapiro, wife of Stephen, mother of Cliff and Ed, daughter of Rhoda, sister of Stephen; Louis Browse, brother of Barry, husband of Ruth, father of Michelle, Debbie, and David, grandfather of 9; and Michael Huberman, brother of Susan and Leslie, husband of Lynn, father of Keith, Lance, and Seth, grandfather of 9. If there is someone you're remembering on this Shabbat, I'll invite you to share their name out loud with us. In appreciation for their lives and legacies, we recite Mourner's Kaddish together on page 598. Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomechon uvchaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be our blessing.
Amen.
Be seated.
Where did we land on announcements?
Just pour.
I get to tell you about things going on at Temple. We're in Purim mode. We've been planning and preparing, and let's see, who is currently dressed for Purim? If you are wearing blue, you are currently and appropriately dressed for Purim. That's right. This year, The theme for Purim is bluish. We'll be gathering at the Blue Note, a jazz club that all of our Purim characters will be crooning their way through music with the word blue in it. It's rather creative. The group that has put it together has been working really hard. It should be a lot of fun. There's a fabulous dinner a la Persia happening beforehand, correct? And all drinks will be swimming in blue curacao. So sign up and join us for a night of celebration and joy and humor and song and a wonderful celebration of community. And our young people have their celebration on Sunday morning. Magilda the musical. I know. We're super excited for the group that's working on that too. Alex, are you in that one? Yeah. So we have one of our actors over there. Always great to gather and look forward to that. Before we conclude our service, we turn to page 625. This is a You Know What to Do, Adon Olam. So it is a repeat after me. Here we go. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nora, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Hoveh, Ve'hu yeh b'tifara Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Ve'hu Echad, Ve'ein Sheni, Lahamshilo Lahachbira, Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velo Haoz Ve'ham Yisra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Ve'hu Eli, V'chai Goali, V'tzor Chevli Beit Sarah, Adon Olam, V'tzu Nisi, Umanosli, Minakosi B'yom Mekra Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Beyado Avkid Ruchi, Beit Tishan Ve'aira, Adon Olam, Ve'im Ruchi Geviati, Adonai Li V'lo Ira, Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, Leit Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.